Okay, let's unpack this. We have received, well, a truly fascinating and, frankly, deeply unusual stack of source material today.
Mm,
It feels less like a research project and more like deciphering some kind of bizarre, beautiful piece of forgotten engineering almost.
right. Well,
Like,
it's quite something.
seriously, our sources blend ancient Hebrew texts with these really specific Japanese visual mnemonics, like, get this, a young lion with a flashing patrol lamp on its head popping out of an oven.
And that mix, that blend of the sacred, the very specific, and the downright surreal, that's exactly why this deep dive is so essential.
Hmm.
We basically have three components here. First, fragments of this really intense ancient text. That's source one.
Okay.
Then source two is this hyper-detailed conceptual lexicon. It maps Hebrew words to really unexpected modern imagery.
Yeah, that's the core, it seems.
It really is. And finally, source three is this, well, surreal narrative that kind of functions as the visual climax, bringing everything together.
So our mission today, for you listening, isn't just to list these strange pairings. It's really to show you how they combine,
Mm,
how they tell a single, powerful, dramatic story, a story of fury and fear.
exactly.
We want to demonstrate how this material uses trauma, really, and these striking visuals to make the concept of sovereign judgment absolutely unforgettable for whoever was learning this.
Yeah, it's like an intricate mechanism, isn't it? Designed specifically for memory retention under, well, duress.
Okay, so here's where we really need to lay the foundation.
Hmm.
Source 2 gives us our core dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's right.
But these are not standard definitions at all. They are conceptual pairings.
Precisely. And if we don't understand this unusual lexicon, the narrative later on is just, well, it's nonsense.
Right.
It's almost like a secret code where powerful, abstract concepts get translated into immediate, sometimes jarringly modern visual cues.
Okay, so let's highlight these. You said they're the keys.
They absolutely are. The keys to the entire narrative structure. Let's start with maybe the central action. Okay, so the word for roared in Hebrew, ahem, it's not just a sound here. It's associated with the visual of a flashing patrol lamp, the Japanese padalampu.
A patrol lamp. Okay,
Yeah.
wait. Why specifically a patrol lamp, not just like a loud noise or warning siren?
Good question.
This blending of like an ancient Semitic concept
Yeah.
with a very specific modern emergency light. It's jarring.
I think it's intentional. The patrol lamp, the padalampu, isn't just any warning. It's an immediate, universally recognized visual signal, right? Crisis, authority. That flashing red and blue light demands attention.
Okay.
The source material doesn't want the learner to just hear the roar. It wants them to see the unavoidable kinetic warning that comes with it.
Ah, so the sound of power becomes visible. Urgent authority.
Yeah,
Instantly.
exactly. It makes the mnemonic system far more sophisticated than just random pairings.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Mm.
So sound becomes flashing, urgent light. Got it. What's next?
All right, moving on. The powerful image of like a kuplion kekfir is defined pretty straightforwardly as the young lion.
Young lion, okay.
Right. And then we get to the core of the emotional response. Dread. The abstract concept of terror dread, it's materialized. It becomes lightning thunder.
Whoa. So like actual lightning.
Yes, an instantaneous, destructive physical force. It's making the king's power palpable, touchable almost.
So the abstract dread becomes literal electricity striking something. That's efficient, I guess.
Very. And the recipients of this dread are mapped out too. The sinner, Shota, is translated as a visible, fixed target, like on a shooting range.
A target, okay. And the transgressor?
Critically, yeah, the idea of the transgressor mid-avro is defined as a bridge.
A bridge? How does that work?
Well, think about it. A bridge spans a gap, connects things. But in this context, as we'll see, it becomes the mechanism, the pathway that delivers the blow.
Oh, okay. A bridge. Interesting. And the consequence for the sinner?
Made visible through a kind of psychological transformation. His soul himself, Nafsho, becomes a ghost phantom.
Ah, so the inner terror is made visible. Pale, shaking fear. An actual ghost.
Exactly. So this is already a pretty robust framework, right? But the system adds another layer, an even maybe deeper layer of mnemonic anchors using numerical codes.
Oh, yeah, the numbers. This is where it gets really technical, almost cryptic.
It does. It ties specific modern concepts to mere digits, using this kind of linguistic pun embedded in the numbers themselves.
Let's slow down here then, because source 2 gets extremely detailed. It says the number 20 is associated with vixen.
Right.
And the breakdown links the number's shape, like the 2 resembling an N or Z sound, and the 0 may be linking to O. To get the sound elements V and X, it's dense.
It is dense. I
Yeah.
think simplification is key here. What the source seems to be doing is creating a kind of phonetic/visual link.
Okay.
By noticing or arguing that the shapes of the digits 2 and 0 can be sort of twisted or interpreted as representing the initial sounds or key sounds for Vixen, they create an immediate mental hook.
So it's purely a linguistic mnemonic device.
Yeah.
Tied to the number.
Pretty much. It's like using a strange alphanumeric substitution rule, just for memory.
Okay, and the number EO2, same logic.
Same logic. It's associated with oven. The 0 looks like an O, maybe, and the 2 resembles a V, OV oven.
Wow.
Which means the simple date, or number 2002, acts as the setup for the whole narrative. It guarantees the learner remembers the 2 key things that trigger the entire calamity, the Vixen and the oven.
It's designed to be completely self-contained and, yeah, almost impossible to forget once you get the code.
Exactly.
Right, so now that we have this bizarre hyperspecific dictionary, this lexicon, let's see how source 1, the ancient fragments file 2002.pdf, acts as the blueprint. These texts are intensely dramatic on their own.
Yeah, if source 2 gives us the raw parts, like the cogs and wheels, source 1 provides the, let's say, emotional conditioning. We look at these texts, these fragments, and you realize they aren't just telling a story. They're establishing a really severe, almost terrifying atmosphere before any specific action even begins.
And that atmosphere is driven by repetition, isn't it?
Yeah.
We keep seeing the same phrases or very similar ones.
Definitely.
Phrases combining the roaring of the young lion. The young lion roared.
Yeah.
And now, using our lexicon, we know this means the flashing authority of that patrol lamp is constantly being emphasized.
Right. The warning is always present. And the entire power structure is hammered home immediately with that recurring phrase, the terror of the young lion king.
Okay, say that again.
The terror of the king, the young lion, roared. It confirms the lion is just the executor, right? The real force is the king's overwhelming power and dread. That IMAT, which we now know is visualized as lightning.
Okay. So the lightning terror belongs to the king, executed via the roaring, flashing lion.
Precisely. And what's fascinating here is just the sheer tonality of these fragments.
Yeah.
They aren't gentle proverbs or, wisdom literature. They read like a severe, almost paranoid royal decree. The fragments basically condition the learner to expect inescapable wrath.
They define the roles instantly. The king is absolute terrifying power.
Oh.
And the other figures are just defined by their transgression, the sinner, and his transgressor.
Uh-huh.
Those roles appear consistently in the text, setting up this permanent binary opposition, power versus consequence.
So the ancient framework doesn't give us the kitchen scene yet, not explicitly.
No.
But it locks in the core emotional truth. A king's power is absolute, it's terrifying, and retribution is, well, a certainty. This constant drumbeat of king terror roar makes the transition to that wild narrative in source 3 feel almost inevitable.
Seamless, yeah. It prepares you for the shock.
Okay. We have the specialized lexicon. We have the emotional blueprint of terror from the ancient texts. Now, source 3, the kitchen calamity, just slams them all together into this bizarre, highly specific, piece of performance art.
Haha. Yeah, that's one way to put it. It takes abstract justice and makes it startlingly, unforgettably literal. Right. So let's walk through the scene, step by step. We need to see how every single image we just decoded gets integrated.
Okay. So the action kicks off with that numerical mnemonic we decoded. The Vixen 20 apprentice cook. She initiates the whole thing.
How?
By opening the kitchen oven, O2. 20 opens O2.
Ah, there it is. The trigger. Seems so mundane, just opening an oven.
Mundane action, yeah. But the consequence is immediate and fantastical. Out pops the head of a young lion.
Just its head.
Just the head, yeah. And it's already roaring because its head is topped with our crucial visual anchor.
The patrol lamp.
Flashing.
Exactly. The visual of red and blue light flashing across a kitchen, that's the immediate manifestation of the roar. The lion is the initial alarm.
Okay, but the terror itself, how does that escalate?
Rapidly, the lion roars and lightning drops right from its mouth.
From its mouth. Wow. Okay, so this isn't just sound or light anymore. It's elemental force.
Correct. And crucially, the lightning strikes the king below.
It hits the king, not the sinner cook. No, it strikes the king. But it doesn't hurt him. The text implies it channels into him, amplifies his already immense anger. The power is being supercharged by its own manifestation.
Okay, that's a twist. The terror fuels the king's fury. So what happens next? The retribution.
Now comes the retribution mechanism. From the king's hand, a shining projection appears, and it's identified as the bridge, our transgressor association.
The bridge. Okay. What does it do?
This shining bridge shoots straight out across the space, and it pierces a distant target.
The target, which we know represents the sinner,
The-
the cook.
Exactly. And the text adds this really specific detail here. It says this action sows the gaze of the spot to one point.
Sows the gaze. What does that even mean?
I think it emphasizes the function of the mnemonic, right? All attention, all focus is now fixed entirely on the undeniable targeted consequence. The king's action is surgically precise. There's no escaping where this is going.
Wow. Okay. Inescapable. And is that the end?
Almost. There's one final piece. The psychological loop closes with the realization of the culprit. Behind the target, the terrified cook is hiding.
Right.
And she's now described explicitly using our final lexicon term, pale like a ghost.
Lahasho. His soul. Her soul in this case. Externalized as terror.
Right. And the cook realizes, in that final moment of dread, that the young lion's initial, loud, flashing roar, that patrol lamp was the king's inescapable terror itself. The warning and the ultimate consequence are one and the same.
That's brilliant, actually, how the abstract terror starts as external lightning hitting the king, making him angry. And then in the final moment, it's fully internalized by the sinner. The soul realizes the sound. The flashing light was the klaxon call for their own fate all along.
The whole system clicks into place in that moment of realization. So if we synthesize all this, bring it together. What these sources define is a meticulously constructed chain, a chain of authority, and maybe more importantly, psychological retribution.
It's not just a story. It's like a systematic model of sovereign judgment.
Exactly. And it seems designed to permanently overwrite the learner's understanding of power, to instill a specific kind of fear or respect.
Yeah, it functions almost like a consequence-driven video game tutorial or something. You press the wrong button, you open the oven, and this terrifying sequence of justice immediately kicks off. No escape.
That's a great analogy. Let's break down that sequence. Step 1, the provocation.
Right.
The sinner, who is the vixen cook, initiates the event through a simple but defining act of transgression. And it's anchored by that numerical pun, 2002.
Okay. Step 2.
The signal of fury. The young lion acts as the visual and auditory herald. The patrol lamp roar. It's a warning that's impossible to ignore because it's rendered as both that specific sound and that unmissable flashing light.
Got it. Step 3.
The judicial act. The king absorbs the literal lightning of terror, Iamat, which amplifies his wrath. Then he deploys the weapon, the bridge, Medavro, to strike the sinner, who is the target, Chote. This move is about overwhelming, undeniable force that links the transgression to the punishment instantly, visually.
Okay. And the final step.
Step 4. The inescapable realization. The sinner's soul, Naksho, now visible as that pale ghost, Obeg, fully internalizes the entire system. They realize the initial warning wasn't just some random event, but the inevitable manifestation of the king's ultimate judicial wrath.
The terror is internalized, made permanent.
Exactly. This whole mnemonic system isn't just about remembering vocabulary words, is it?
Well, clearly not.
It's about making the king's power visceral, tangible. By blending these ancient Hebrew concepts of judgment with a highly specific, modern Japanese visual of emergency authority, the patrol lamp, the source material ensures that any time the learner sees that flashing red light, they associate it with the ultimate furious power of the king.
The memory gets anchored in a permanent sensory experience.
That seems to be the goal.
And the sources achieve this by making the consequence flow so directly from the nature of the transgression, using these incredibly strange, yet contextually perfect images, like the bridge and the target. Hashtag tag outro.
So yeah, we've explored how these materials transform really abstract notions, sin, dread, consequence, into, well, flashing lights, thunderbolts, and the physical realization of a ghost hiding in a kitchen. It's a remarkably effective teaching tool, it seems, rooted deeply in psychological impact.
We've seen a truly complete, almost terrifying loop, haven't we? The cook, the vixen who started the whole thing, ends up realizing the full terror of the king's fury as their own soul, because a terrified ghost hiding behind the target that represents them.
Yeah, the material forces the learner, who is positioned as the perpetrator, to be both the instigator of the calamity and the ultimate terrified observer of their own punishment. It's quite circular.
Okay, so this leaves us with a final, truly provocative thought for you, the listener, to consider. The narrative makes the cook the initial agent of chaos, the vixen. The same person associated with the terrified soul ghost hiding behind the target.
Right, the beginning and the end point to the same entity.
So if the purpose of this learning system is to install a permanent memory of fear and judgment, what does it imply about the nature of knowledge, or maybe memory itself, when the person initiating the calamity is also the sole, ultimate recipient and observer of their own terrifying self-inflicted punishment?
Hmm. Does the lesson only truly count? Is it only fully learned when it's experienced through that kind of complete, inescapable self-confrontation?
Something to think about.